We dance as the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Turnipole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'll come to you live from the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Look out the window. Man, it's nice and sunny. You know, you got that lawn that's really big. You just don't want to cut. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You got that landscaping project that, you know, I really want to get it done. I just don't know how or don't have the time to do it. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Hey, if you ain't mulch or rock or anything delivered to your house or you can pick it up, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Give them a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. Follow them on Facebook gives you an idea of what they can do. They have different videos out there of different jobs they've done. So I highly recommend following them on Facebook. And if you call them or contact them on Facebook, do me a favor. Tell Johnny you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got, let me scroll it back up here. We got Stranger in there, Brad's in there, Paul's in there, Tony Blaze and Augie. What is going on, guys? I gotta talk about this again because this is either going to be, it's going to be fun either way. Or I'm either nobody's going to notice me or I'm going to embarrass the crap out of myself. I'm not sure which. Hopefully nobody notices me and I just play really good. But I will be participating in the 35th Cincinnati Softball Classic July 17th at the Florence Yalls Stadium. First pitch is at 7:30. You guys want tickets? Go to Celebrity Softball Classic on Instagram. I'll be there. Bengals captain will be there. Some other actual celebrities will be there. We'll see if I don't pull a hamstring or pop my shoulder out or something. Either way, if you want to come laugh at me, I'm trying to play softball because I haven't played in, I don't know, 15, 16 years. Well, it'll be fun. Anyway, let's get to the topics of the day. Now, later on, I think I reached out to Trags. Hopefully, he will be able to join us here in the 6 o'clock hour and we can discuss all the stuff that's going on with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson and the first day of Bengals minicamp. But as of right now, I have a great guest. He's Al. I worked on his name. I'll see if I can say it. Lautenslager. I know I messed it up again. I hope I said it wrong, but said it right. But I probably said it wrong. But he is the author of Cincinnati Soul. It's about the Negro League team in Cincinnati. It was the Cincinnati Tigers, and they actually played in Crosley Field. So it's a really cool book. It dropped today. Let's get to the author himself. Here's Al. What's up, Al?
Hey, nice to see you. I like that picture. It's only about 20 years old.
I try to get a really good picture for you, make you look nice and pretty. What's going on, man? How's it been? It's been a little while since you've been on the show. You got a new book out, Cincinnati Soul.
Yeah, I've been having fun with that, and all excited. All us authors get excited on release day, and that's today.
Yep.
So I've been talking to a lot of people, and uh, I've done book signings already, and I've got a whole bunch more planned, more podcasts, things like what you're doing. So yeah, it's I've been having fun. It's my fourth baseball book, and we're off and running.
That's awesome. Awesome. So just tell everybody what the Cincinnati Soul is about.
Cincinnati Soul is about black baseball in Cincinnati, and their primary team was the Cincinnati Tigers. That was back in 1934,
Get your hat on, too.
1937. And there's, believe it or not, 5 or 6 or 7 black baseball teams from Cincinnati, and I profile them all in the book. But the book talks about the team, the players, the social conditions, the civil rights situation, Jim Crow laws, and all the things that they had to fight
Right.
amongst the baseball. And they were really, really, really good baseball teams and players, but because of segregation, they didn't have a chance at Major League Baseball. So the book talks about that, the trials, the tribulations, the teams, the profiles of the players, and it's really cool. And there's a lot of Cincinnati ties in there, which is what made me originally interested because of my interest in Cincinnati baseball.
Right, exactly. Now, I thought it was because I didn't know where they played at, and you said they actually played at Crosley Field, and they actually had a pretty good fan base there for the games, right?
Yeah, they played at Crosley Field when the Reds were away. So that was one of the first social issues, if you will, that they're sharing a team with a white baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sharing a field. And they played when the Reds left. And lo and behold, they wore the Reds' old uniforms.
Oh, really?
So if you look, when you see the cover of the book, there's a picture of the team standing against their team bus. And they all have Cincinnati Reds uniforms on.
Huh.
It says Cincinnati across the chest. And it's really cool. So, yeah, they did that at Crosley Field, and the attendance was unbelievable. These Negro League games were community events.
Right.
They were celebrations. They would have their form of tailgating. It was a community event, and every game was like that. So their attendance was quite good.
Yeah, I see that. So they would just, like the hat you're wearing, they take the old Reds hat and just type in Tigers.
Or they'll just wear the uniform that says Cincinnati across the chest, which is the old Cincinnati Reds uniforms.
Right.
But they were known as the Tigers, and they were part of Cincinnati baseball lore. And they used what the Reds had, but they didn't really affiliate with one another because of segregation at the time. And that comes out loud and clear in the book. It amazed me on how much segregation influenced the baseball, the community, and life in general for these people.
Well, segregation influenced the whole country at that time. I mean, it was that was way before me, but yeah, that was a big black eye in our history. I'll put it that way. What made you write the book anyway?
Interesting story. I was reading baseball news as I do every day, as you do every day, and I saw a story where the MLB was now accepting Negro League statistics into the overall statistics. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden Josh Gibson of the Negro Leagues had a higher batting average than Ty Cobb and replaced him at the number 1 spot.
Right.
And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And then I was reading the story, and I came upon an advertisement online for a Cincinnati Tigers t-shirt sold by Cincy t-shirts, or one of those Cincinnati t-shirts.
Yeah, price t-shirts. Yeah.
And it was a Cincinnati Tigers t-shirt. And I said, that's interesting. I don't know a lot about the Negro League. I want to learn more. oh, I didn't know Cincinnati had a team, and I'm from Cincinnati and love Cincinnati. I want to learn more. I want to go see the book.
There wasn't one.
Didn't exist.
Ding, idea.
Exactly. I was advised a long time ago in write the book that you want to read.
Right.
Guess what? I wanted to read that book. It didn't exist. So I said, I now have my new book.
There you go.
So I started digging in and finding old newspapers and all kinds of things. And I said, this is a book. This is a good story. People need to hear this, especially anybody interested in Cincinnati baseball. So that's what made me write the book.
Right. Well, it's history. So we can't forget our past. So that's always interesting to me of how things used to be. Now, you said they had the Cincinnati Tigers, and there are a couple other Negro League teams in Cincinnati as well. How many were there?
I think I wrote about 7 of them in the book. I can't remember off the top of my head because I always just talk about the Cincinnati Tigers. There was the Cincinnati Browns, Cincinnati Cuban Stars,
right?
Cincinnati Buckeyes, Cincinnati Clowns, Cincinnati Crescents, and then Cincinnati Mangrums.
Wow, they're all here at the same time?
No. In sequence.
Okay.
So there's 7 teams right there.
Wow.
And some were before. The Cubans were before the Tigers, and the Crescents and the Clowns were after the Tigers. The Tigers existed from 1934 to 1937. They were in the Negro American League only in 1937. At the end of 1937, they disbanded. And the rumor is at the time, of course, there's not a lot of records available. I had to really dig, that it was related to financial issues. Yeah. They couldn't keep the team going. They had to pay these players a little bit, but something. They had expenses for travel. They traveled to all over the Midwest, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. People know the Pittsburgh Crawfords and the Kansas City Stars and those kinds of teams.
Right.
The Homestead Grays. And they had to play these teams and they had to travel. And that's why you see a picture of the bus on the cover of the book. These things cost money. And back then, it wasn't like today. You didn't have an endless pool of money. And there's some good stories in there about players leaving one team where they played for $250 and they went to another team where they got $300. That's how tight it was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, it's just like any way you run a business. If you don't make any money, your business isn't making any money, you're not going to stay in business very long. Just like you, if you write books that nobody buys, you're not going to be writing too many more books. So
that's right. That's exactly how it worked back then too.
Exactly. So who were some of the stars for the Cincinnati Tigers?
One of my favorites is a guy by the name of Ted Radcliffe.
Okay.
And if you read anything, you'll see it in the book. He's known as Ted Double Duty Radcliffe. And there's a whole chapter in the book about nicknames. Double Duty came from a newspaper reporter. Black press was really big back then. They did cover the games. Radcliffe pitched the first game of a doubleheader, and then he caught the second game of the doubleheader.
Really?
And he did that regularly, and he was known as Double Duty. And he went on to play for the team. He went on to manage the team right at the end. He went on to the Memphis Red Sox, which a lot of the Tigers went to, and he managed that team. So he's a big name, and he was on the all-star teams, and he played on 15 different Negro League teams, had great success, and became an ambassador for Negro League Baseball, and he died in 2005 at the age of 103.
Oh,
so
wow.
Double Duty Radcliffe is one you'll read about related to Cincinnati baseball and Memphis baseball and Negro League baseball in general. So he was one that was kind of my favorite, and we talk about him in the book.
That's cool. Now, where can people get this book if they're interested in buying it?
Well, it's wherever they buy books now. Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You can buy it from my website. Come to my website. The publisher, Morgan James Publishing, morganjamesbooks.com. So just about anywhere they buy books. Amazon's the popular favorite. And that's where it's been selling pretty good today.
Cool. Now, why was Cincinnati such a significant hub for black baseball anyway?
Well, it was between the North and the South,
Mm-hmm.
kind of speaking,
Yeah.
and it had a pretty strong black community because it was a community. People did things together. They worked together. It became a baseball hub because it was entertainment at the time. That was a big deal. It was a community event. You talk
Right.
about tailgating now, you can imagine the tailgating with 15,000 people,
Oh,
not
heck
just a
yeah.
few.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Cincinnati was a good black city, black baseball city.
Now, did they have playoffs and everything? I mean, I know not like playoffs like we have now, but they had a champion. The Negro League. They have a Negro League champion.
No, yeah, they did, but they didn't have like the World Series or anything like that. They did. The biggest thing that they did have was the All-Star game. They
Okay.
called it the East-West All-Star game. That was a big deal, and it was played towards the end of the season. And Cincinnati had a lot of players that played on that All-Star team, and that was a big deal. Double duty Radcliffe played on it. The other favorite player of mine was a guy by the name of Porter Moss. He was always on the All-Star team, born and raised in Cincinnati. He died in Cincinnati. He's buried in Cincinnati. He met an unfortunate tragedy. He was intervening in a racial altercation, not in Cincinnati, outside of Cincinnati, and he was killed.
Oh.
He was badly injured, and they tried to get the ambulance or help, and they wouldn't come because he was black.
Oh, geez.
So, it's a sad story, but he was known as Ankle Ball Moss.
The nicknames these guys had back then cracks me up.
It's incredible. He threw the ball like Ted Abernathy for the Reds was a sidearm pitcher.
Right.
He threw below Ted Abernathy's arc, and they called him Ankle Ball Moss. And the big players said it was harder than heck to hit off of him.
Oh, I bet it was. Well, they had the whip back in the Eulige. That was the guy's name for the Reds, where he whipped his arm back and threw its sidearm. That I just remember watching his show.
And you'll see, I watched baseball this weekend. I saw a couple pitchers throwing like that.
I don't know how they do it. I would pull my shoulder out.
I don't know how the batters can face it.
You can't see the ball. Like when I was a kid, I hated sidearm pitchers. So my buddy, every time we go down to the park behind my house and play, I come up to bat, he'd always sidearm me. I'm like, you stop. And he'd get me out because I couldn't see the ball. It's hard to see the ball if you can't hit it. All right. So what are some surprising things that people might find in this book that they didn't know about? I mentioned some of the players. I mean, is there any special play or road trips or anything like that's in the base kind of special story that
No, I think the thing that came out loud and clear to me that was kind of a surprise was how much of a community oriented team it was, and how black baseball could survive in a city like Cincinnati, and that just came out loud and clear to me. There's a lot of people can talk to you about the Kansas City Stars and the Homestead Grays and the Pittsburgh Crawfords, but nobody knows about the Cincinnati Tigers. So what this book is going to do is raise that profile. So that was the other surprising thing, is how low of a profile it had, and now it's becoming greater just because of this book.
So did you ever find out how they came up with the name Tigers? Because I think the Tigers is actually the coolest name, because you had the Clowns and the other one, the Browns. I wouldn't like that team. It's called the Browns. The Buckeyes.
I dug for that, but could never find a reasoning behind it. The records are sparse. I had to really dig through newspaper clippings.
How do you find all that stuff? How do you find the information for this?
That's the nature of my writing, is the research that goes behind it. Newspapers are pretty much available. It's poor searching mechanisms, but they're available. Newspapers.com is a great place to subscribe to if you're a researcher. And I found a ton. And I found myself immersed in just reading newspapers from back then.
Right.
And it was an interesting style of writing. They did talk about the games. They talked about box scores. They talked about who won and who's got the hot streak and things like that.
Now, this might
So
be a silly
you do
question.
that.
I'm
That's
sorry,
the main source of research.
well, this might be a silly question, but talk about the newspaper writers, and since this is the Negro League, did they have a black man go and be in? Was that the sports writer, or was it a regular sports writer would go to write these articles?
No, there's a whole chapter in the book on black press,
Really?
and there's some pretty well-known black writers, and they traveled around. And one thing to keep in mind, we talked about segregation. Every one of these ball players was fighting that so that they could eventually get into the major league level.
Right.
Segregation obviously kept them out until Jackie Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these newspaper writers were behind that. So all of their writing supported what they were doing, supported the play, supported the socioeconomic issues, supported integration, and so on. So, yeah, they had black writers so much that it became a chapter in the book.
That's I wonder. We talk about that, writing. And I'm like, well, everything was segregated. I wonder if they had their own sports, own black writers there. That's
well, and not only that, there were black
just,
newspapers.
That's just being a 50-year-old man and not growing up in segregation. That is just dumbfounding to me that they had everything segregated. That's just that blows my mind, to be honest.
When you read about, and I've been to the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, and they've got pictures and signs up of where the restrooms are, where it says white with an arrow on one side and colored on the left side. And there's tons of that kind of stuff. The book talks about these players running into that at restaurants and at hotels and sleeping 5 to a room because they couldn't get enough rooms. And it makes you, it shocks you, much like you just said. I can't believe that.
I know it happened, but it's just crazy to think of that because I never have had to deal with that. So that's just crazy to me to think about that. Have you ever watch any of anything about Jackie Robinson or anything about the Negro League? What these guys had to go through to play baseball, or just to everyday life is just ridiculous. Well, I'm laughing, but it's just mind-numbingly just dumb what they had to do. It's never should have happened.
Well, and the book will point out that we all know Jackie Robinson. We all know that on April 15th, 1947, he entered the major leagues. Mm-hmm. But all of that was set up by all these Negro League players and teams. And they were really, really good. One of my other favorite Tigers player is a guy by the name of Roy Partlow. Roy was signed to the Montreal minor league team of the Brooklyn Dodgers the same time Jackie Robinson was. So Jackie Robinson made it into the major leagues, but his buddy Roy Partlow played for the Cincinnati Tigers, and he was one of the people that played for the Montreal team.
Huh. Now, do you know if Satchel Paige ever played here in Cincinnati against?
Yes, he did. Absolutely did. He didn't play for that team. He played against them. I think Satchel Paige has played against every team.
He played. How long? He played forever. How long did he actually play? Do you know?
Well, technically, he signed a contract when he was 70 years old and played a game.
Really?
Yeah. So it's hard to get an answer to that question, but he played 50 years.
Jeez, that's ridiculous.
And he was very good.
Oh yeah, he was a hell of a pitcher. I know that he had the what was it, the invisible ball, he called it, or something like that. I think it was.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. When people know him, people know Josh Gibson, people know Jackie Robinson, but the guys, double duty Radcliffe and Porter Moss, and these guys that I can talk about now because I did the research, but nobody heard about them. And when people read the book, they're going to remember that and probably find out more.
Now, isn't there a Negro baseball wing in the Hall of Fame now? Isn't it? Or is
they have exhibits? They have exhibits.
Or do they have their own? I think they have their own Hall of Fame, don't they? I thought I read that somewhere.
Well, there's a Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City.
That's what it is. Okay.
And and it's kind of like a Hall of Fame. It's an unbelievable place. Bob Kendrick, the president, he wrote the foreword to Cincinnati Soul. Um, he and I developed a good relationship when I visited there, when I told him what I was doing, and he was all over it. But the Baseball Hall of Fame has their own exhibit from time to time. In fact, one of their exhibits was called the Soul of Baseball, and that's where I got the idea of soul. I said, well, heck, Cincinnati black baseball has soul.
Right.
So that's how I came up with Cincinnati Soul.
That's cool. Now, oh crap! I was gonna ask something else. I can't remember what it was now. It is So did any of the I think I asked this off the air, but I actually get did any I asked this on the air. Did any of the players from the Tigers or any other Negro teams that played in Cincinnati, did any of them ever make it to the MLB?
No, not from the Cincinnati Tigers. What you'll read is the Cincinnati Tigers disbanded, and a lot of these guys went to the Memphis Red Sox, and a lot of other guys went to other teams, and they played and built championships on other teams after the Tigers. So they were good baseball players, but they never made it to the Hall of Fame.
So what was the last Negro team?
I mean, MLB.
Yeah, MLB. Yeah, what was the last Negro team here? Was it the Tigers the last one that was here?
No, it was. I'd have to look it up. It was the Crescents.
Okay.
There was a team back in the day. These guys made their own teams if they didn't have an organized league team, and they did barnstorming all over the country. So if they didn't have a team, they'd make one. So
Did
that
they ever play
became
the Reds? Did the Tigers ever play the Reds?
No,
Or never did. Okay, that's right. Yeah, they couldn't play that. That's a silly question. Of course, they couldn't play them.
well, yeah. There were some major league teams that played exhibition games against Negro League teams, but it wasn't an exhibition like you and I would think it. It wasn't a big deal. It was a token deal, no pun intended.
Right. So talk about the barnstorming aspect of it, how that would work.
They would gather up a bunch of guys and go play somebody. And when they did that, and this is before the Tigers, when they did that, they would tell the opposing team, hey, we're coming to town, let's play a baseball game. And they would market the heck out of it. And that's where all these fans would flock to, even if it was a barnstorming team. But the barnstorming team wasn't part of any league. And these guys wanted to play. They got paid to play. It was their form of living, and it was a big deal. So if there wasn't a team to be part of, they made their own. There's a chapter in the book on barnstorming. It was very popular. Babe Ruth barnstormed.
Really? Huh. So
yeah.
So they just play it just like
pickup game.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So just like when we're kids, we like, okay, you guys are on this team, we're on this team, and you play each other. Okay. Yep. So would that be good?
There was a lot of that.
So would that be around just the Cincinnati area, or they go to like the tri-state area, like
anywhere, all over the country? Now, because of expenses and because of travel logistics,
right?
It was Midwestern teams played Midwestern teams,
right?
But there's some stories about Midwestern teams going to the coast.
Oh, really?
Both coasts, yeah.
So, who was the most interesting person you interviewed for this guy? I know in the thing you sent me, Ferguson Jenkins. You had a quote. Excuse me, from him in this as well. Was he the most interesting guy, or who was the most interesting guy you interviewed?
You know, people ask me all the time, what are some of my baseball highlights? They know I'm a baseball writer.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your baseball highlights? My number one highlight is Pete Rose 41-92 game.
Oh yeah,
I was at that game. I saw that hit.
I watched it on TV.
That was a big deal to me. I got to meet his son and his daughter after that hit that
That's
night.
Awesome.
And that was kind of cool. My second highlight, I'm going to answer your question, and I know we're short on time, but my second highlight was Southwest Airlines. You could pick your own seat.
Right.
I was in St. Louis flying to Chicago one time. It was 10 o'clock at night. There were 10 people on the plane. You could sit anywhere. And I saw this guy in front of me that had what looked to me to be a World Series ring. Well, as it turned out, it was a Hall of Fame ring.
Ooh.
it was Lou Brock.
Really?
Lou Brock sat in an aisle seat, and I sat in a middle seat right next to him, and he and I talked baseball for an hour.
That would be a cool conversation to talk
Oh,
to
that
Lou
was
Brock.
a highlight. Now, I wasn't writing as much back then. I wish I would have, because I would have turned that into a book.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
But that was another highlight. The third highlight was a conversation that I had with Ferguson Jenkins. Believe it or not, some of these guys are active on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Fergie on Facebook or something, and I contacted him, and I got his manager, his people.
Yeah, right.
And I finally weaved my way into telling them what I was calling him for. I wanted to get an endorsement.
Right.
And I sent a letter, and I sent messages on Facebook. And one day I had a voicemail on my phone, and it said, "Al, this is Fergie. We need to talk." Now, can you imagine getting that kind of voicemail on your phone?
No,
I still have it.
That would be what I keep.
Yeah,
I keep that.
Here's my number. So I called him, and I wanted just a simple 1 or 2 sentence endorsement, which is in the book. He talked to me for a half hour about Negro League baseball.
That's awesome.
And I was on cloud 9, just talking baseball stories with anybody.
Heck yeah.
And here's Ferguson Jenkins giving me the lowdown, and I had to take everything that he said and formulate it into an endorsement and said, "Okay, Fergie, is this what you just told me?" He said, "Yeah, put that in the book."
Sum it up for him. There you go.
So that was a very good interview, not necessarily for the content of the book. I tell you that the second person was Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro League Baseball Museum.
Right.
Of course, that was all in person. And then he wrote an unbelievable foreword for the book. He is so well known in MLB, in the Hall of Fame, in Negro League baseball communities. He was on that telecast of the Rickwood game, if you remember.
Okay.
Where they played in Alabama at the oldest stadium. And he just gave all kinds of, he's a walking historian. He's a history book of Negro League baseball. So you can get about any story, any topic you want from him. And he fed me a lot. I went to the museum. I got a lot more. So that was kind of fun. And that's all in writing the book.
That's cool. Again, tell everybody where they can get the book, because it came out today.
Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, MorganJamesBooks.com, WordsByAl.com. Take your pick. A lot of people go to Amazon, but I support Barnes and Noble because they distribute the book in the store.
What if they want a signed copy? How do they get that from you?
Well, they can contact me, and I can arrange a signed copy being sent to them, and they can purchase it from me. Or I'm doing these kind of signed book plates that people like, and it's just a piece of paper. You peel off the back, stick it in the book, and it's a signed book.
There you go. Al, I can't wait to read the book. It's all that stuff. I love baseball history. I like history in general. So I want to learn more about the Cincinnati Tigers. I had heard of them. I knew they were that name. The Clowns, I think, rings a bell just because of the crazy name. I don't remember the Browns at all. So I don't them not so much because it's Browns. But
you're gonna love this then, because I know you like history and I know you like baseball, and that's what it's all about.
I do. Well, Al, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully everybody go out and get the book. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a good read. And the next book's coming out. Just hit me up. You can come back on again.
All right, you got it. Nice talking to you. I watch just about every day when I can.
Well, I appreciate it, Al. You take it easy.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go check out Al's book, Cincinnati Soul, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all that. It sounds like a pretty good read to me. I'm going to check it out. He forwarded me some of the forwards on the book, however you say that. I don't know. But contrary to popular belief, I do read a little bit, so read a book sounds cool. So hopefully Mike Pachaglia will be able to join us. I hit him up on the phone right before I went live and he said he'd try. So we'll see. But so for everybody who is here for Bengals talk, I'm ready to discuss the Bengals and what I saw from the bridge today. I saw Shamar Stewart. He looked really good today, standing in his uniform, watching practice. Did not see Trey Henderson, so he wasn't there. So for everybody who's wondering if Trey was or wasn't there, he was not there. It was a beautiful day. Joe Burrow looked awesome. I think this offense, and Joe said this in his press conference after practice, that this is the first, and this is exciting to me when he said this. This is the first time that there isn't, he said it's a little weird because it's the first time there isn't a new guy that he has to take under his wing and help him go through the offense and what he's thinking of this situation, what he's thinking of that situation. He's like, Jamar, Andre, Burton, Chuck Sizzle. He goes, they already know it. So there's nothing to discuss. So that is the part that got me really excited about this offense and how much it could click. Then I heard the comments from Shamar Stewart, and this is where I'm hoping Trags can join us. And I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I totally understand his frustration because from what hey, there he is. Here we'll just go straight into him. What's up, Trags?
What's up, Iceman?
I appreciate you jumping in on very very short notice. All right, so we'll get this. Just jump right into it. Shamar Stewart, and I know you were at his locker when he was doing the interview, and he's like, I'm 100% correct in what I'm trying to do. I have stars on the team that are behind me. What was your thoughts on? Because you can tell he's frustrated. What was your thoughts on how much he said? Because he told you guys a lot more than I think he probably should have said. But what's your thoughts on what he said today?
Okay, I think it's really coming from his representation, Ice, and I think that he is a frustrated guy. I think his agent is frustrated that he's not on the field. I think they're both, agent and player in this case, are frustrated that he's being made a guinea pig.
Right.
What the Bengals want to do, and that is put in extra protection legally in the language of their first-round pick in the contract to protect the Bengals themselves against player clauses in the third and fourth year of the rookie deal that are not provided for by the CBA. So this is all legal mumbo jumbo. I will say this. I do think this could have been avoided on the team's behalf, and they could have him on the field. Mm-hmm. This tells me that I don't think the team thinks that Shamar Stewart needs to be on the field. Because if they did, and he's a first-round pick, and you expect the guy to produce right away, which they do.
They do. They need him to.
Right. They need him to. Then he should be signed and get him on the field. What are you doing, for lack of a better word, screwing around with your first-round pick? Get him on the field. Get him the mental reps. Let Al Golden, and they've already been doing this to a degree. Al Golden certainly has been talking with him, and he's been in the building, as they say. The only thing he hasn't done is gone through the physical reps of what they have been teaching in the classroom. In some cases, that's a big deal. In some cases, it isn't. I think with a guy trying to prove himself that he's better than the lackluster numbers he demonstrated in college, he's better than that. I think it's important for him to be on the field to a degree. Do I think it will preclude him from being effective if he can be effective? No, I don't. I think he could still, if he's coached up right, if he's physically healthy and has that motor that is so often talked about at the defensive edge position, I think he can be a productive player. We don't know that. And it's just strange to me that a team clearly with Super Bowl aspirations is doing this, considering how poor their defense was the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, for his frustration builds up because he wants to prove that he was worth the 17th pick and he's better
Right.
than what people are saying, and he can't do that right now. Can't get onto the field. So, like I said, I totally get his frustration, and like I said, I just wish the Bengals would just quit like you said, screwing around with this and get him signed. Like,
well, what was interesting? Let me jump in here.
Good.
Well, it's on my mind. What was interesting to me, one of the things that he said that caught my eye, was the fact that he stood up for Trey Hendrickson and said, "Well, if it was my money, he'd get all my money." Well, clearly,
it's not his money.
It's not your money,
right?
You can't operate a business like that. But he went up and above and beyond what he needed to say.
That's the part that was surprising to me, Trags, of what he said there. He
doesn't even know him from Adam, really.
Right.
He says he's talked to him a couple of times.
Right.
I'm sure they've talked in the locker room. I don't think there's any doubt about that. In the very few occasions Trey's been in the building, I'm sure they've spoken.
Probably, yeah.
But not very much.
No.
And for him to offer that up just seemed bizarre. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Well, it's weird. It's just like, all right, just say you went and you started a new job. You don't sit there and talk about how the CEO should do their job or how they should get paid. That's the way I look at it. Like, dude, you're the new guy. That's where I think he went a little bit too far. You know, and that's the part that shocked me of what he said. Now, I agree with him. I think it's crazy that. And I'd love to know why the Bengals are picking him to be the quote unquote guinea pig.
Well, I think they thought this was the right time to do it. I don't necessarily think it's anything against him personally. I just think, and I've written about this ad nauseum, and some people I'm sure are tired of hearing it. The Bengals are lawyers first, business people second, family people third, football people fourth. The way the pecking order is in that organization. Right. And it has always been that way. Any Bengal fan knows that.
Oh, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Well, one thing he said, too, that I've said this before, that I wish that the Bengals would want to win Lombardi as badly as they want to win every contract. He said, I don't exactly do it word for word what he said, but that's kind of what he was saying about trying to win this argument. He said, instead of getting wins on the field, I think was the quote.
Yeah, and and there's a lot to be said about that. In response to the media that I've posted, and it's up on my X page, it's up on the Jungle Roar Pod YouTube page, for a lot of Bengal fans are responding to this with angst and frustration. Like, who are you, kid? I mean, you may be talented, but you haven't done jack yet in the NFL. Before you start speaking out, do something on the field. And I get that too. And you know what? The Bengal organization is playing upon that to get this done. And the Bengals in that regard can be very savvy in situations like this. People will remember, of course, in 1984, linebacker, oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Ricky Hundley.
Oh, yeah. I know. I
remember Ricky Hundley. Okay. And they remember that holdout, and that got ugly.
Yeah.
This it is going down that path, but we've got such a long way to go. And in my opinion, it's not going to become that. I don't think. I think he'll be on the field for training camp. He's not going to be on the field this week. I don't see the deal happening, overnight.
No.
James of BengalsTalk.com and SI.com asked him point blank, you think this could change in a matter of 24 hours and you'd be on the field tomorrow? And he's like, your guess is as good as mine. It could, sure, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play minicamp, but I would be shocked if they let this play out through training camp. I mean, I mean the Trey Henderson thing. We can roll the Trey here real quick. All right. I'm not surprised that he didn't show up to minicamp, but the longer this goes, Trags, the more I'm like, man, this is really kind of reminding me of Jesse Bates last year. Jesse Bates, remember he missed everything except for with the last week, I think, at training camp he showed up, and that might be the path that Trey goes down, which to me still doesn't make a whole lot of sense it didn't make a whole lot of sense for Jesse because all he did was lose money. It cost him. I mean, he made it back up when he got his contract. I get that, but Trey is older. He's not in the same age bracket as Jesse Bates. So if Trey if he goes and just say he misses training camp and comes in the last week and he doesn't get 17 sacks and his production goes down a little bit, he's not going to get as much money as he can right now. So that's where I'm like, he's playing.
Here's the thing.
Hard thing.
Here's the thing.
Hmm?
When people look around the NFL, fans look around the NFL and say, why don't other teams like the Steelers, and they've had their issues with Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, they've had their issues, yeah.
Yeah, no question. The Ravens, contenders, Patriots back in the day. You take a look at the 49ers, Cowboys back in the day. They've had their issues, but in the end, they got their best players on the field. It boggles the mind of Bengal fans why the Bengals' priority isn't getting their best players on the field all the time. And, with Jamar and T, they deserve full marks and definitely deserve credit for getting that done. You can critique the fact that the Bengals should have done a much better job creating space now so that they can add talent. You can certainly make that case, but they got the deals done in the end.
Right.
With a guy like Trey Hendrickson, either, do something to show that you are fully in on getting him on the field. Now, maybe they have, but they are not the types to go public with that and say, hey, we made an offer to Trey. We're, are bargaining in good faith. We want him on the field, obviously. And then you take a look at Shamar Stewart, you take a look at Demetrius Knight, their second-round pick, and Bengal fans start to go, well, other teams don't have these issues. Why do the Bengals have these issues?
I can't answer that. The thing is, I think other teams do have these issues, and you brought this up, I think, last time you were on the show, that when you covered the Patriots, every year there was always a storyline. We would like it if they come to training camp and there'd be no storyline. But there's always going to be something. When you said it, we have this high level of talent, and they want to get their money, and they want to get paid, and they want to Lombardi, but it's always going to be, and it's butting of heads. And this is what you're going to have when you have high talented teams, I think.
Well, this is what you're going to have when you have a lot of talent, and then you have an ownership group that is very determined to win their battles.
Yes. That's where I wish they'd switch.
Robert Kraft wanted his fair share of wins at the table, and he got them. But he also knew the best players, let's get them done. Let's not screw around. With the Brown family and the Blackburns, they don't look at it that way. Their attitude is, we want to win for the legal principle of it all, and for the bargaining principle of it all.
I wish they'd worry about how it looks to the public. I know. Ask Carson Palmer. They could care less. I mean, and that's where I'm like,
it's never going to change.
No.
As long as the Browns and Blackburns are in control, this is what you're going to get. And, if the Bengals hadn't lucked into Joe Burrow, not a lot of people would care, because there wouldn't be the passion that, hey, you're wasting some of the best years of Joe Burrow's career to win multiple Super Bowls.
Right.
Your goal should not be one Super Bowl and done.
No, it should be more.
Multiple.
Yeah. We should have already won one, to be honest, in my opinion. We should have got one. Now, speaking of Joe, I loved what he said at the press conference about how this is the first time that he's not had to break in a new guy. He's like, I didn't have to have a new guy and take him under my wing and tell him what I'm thinking of this situation, what I'm thinking of that situation. And he talked about Yoshi, and he talked about Burton, of how they were doing good. To me, Trags, that is awesome, and it should be very scary for the rest of the league, because if they can just build. I mean, they're not working to build it up to anything. They can just start here and hit the ground running. That is awesome compared to what we've had to the last couple of years.
Well, and I asked him, Iceman, that is he comfortable with this team being completely offensively driven? Because that is the way they're coming off right now in this off season. We are all about the offense. We're all in. We're going to outscore the competition. Our defense will be good enough. It may not be great, but it'll be good enough to get off the field and get the ball back in Joe Burrow's hands. And he said, well, I think we have a good defense, but yeah, I understand that the most important position on the team, I'm paraphrasing, most important position on the team is the quarterback, and I'm committed to being better this year. And that sounds like a determined quarterback to me. And you know, if his weapons are healthy, the one thing people have not talked about, and we need to see it on the field, but the potential of this offensive line to be significantly better and sturdier and more stout is tremendous. And I think that is the thing people are underselling coming into this year. I think this team, if their offensive line is decent, I mean, healthy, like reasonably healthy, I think they could put up massive points.
Oh, I think it's going to be unbelievable. I mean, if Orlando Brown can stay healthy and Mims can stay healthy, those two alone could stay healthy, and Mims take another step because he played more games, excuse me, for the Bengals than he played for Georgia. So, I mean, he's if he can take that next step, our tackles alone are going to be awesome. And I really like Fairchild. I said hi to him today. It's, you know, I said protect Joe.
So Dave Lapham made this point and this afternoon, and I'm sure he'll be repeating it on the Inside the Booth podcast with Dan Horde. But he said, I dare you, I challenge you to find a team in the NFL with a better combination of tackles than Amarius Mims and Orlando Brown Jr. And I think he's got a point there. I mean, when you look at the tandem and you look at the bookends, when they're on the field, that's about as good as you can get in the NFL.
Exactly.
And that should give Joe Burrow the ability to have some reasonable dreams at night.
Right, exactly.
Rest going into the season.
Exactly. Now, one thing he did bring up, he talked about the running game. He said, and I thought it was interesting. I like how he said this. He said the running game was good last year. He goes, it needs to be, or I hope it's great this year, which I think.
Let me read you the quote.
Go ahead.
I've got it right in front of me. Obviously, Chase Brown is going to take another step. He's an explosive guy, but can create a lot of big-time plays for us. Samaje being in there is a guy you can rely on in pass protection, catching the ball out of the backfield. And the running game is good, and I think we can be even better this year.
And that's, to me, if we can get a consistent running game, I said this last couple of years, if we get a consistent running game, some of these games that we lost last year where we had the lead and either the offense didn't get a first down and got a field and the defense gave up the lead. If you had a consistent running game, that's going to end some of these games. And hopefully that's what
the 4-minute offense was tremendous in 21 and 22. Took a little bit of a step back the last couple of years. Still not bad, but not as great as it was in 21 and 22. That 4-minute offense can get back to what you're talking about. Jeff, I think you're right on the money. I mean, he said about the running game, he said that let me get it here. I thought our run game was good last year. You'd love for it to be great.
Yes.
This year, it needs to be a little more consistent.
Exactly.
That's how he feels about the run game.
Yeah, and I think he put it perfectly. That's like I said the last couple of years, we just need to be more consistent because people are like, oh, we don't run the ball enough. Like, well, if you're running the ball and you're only getting 1 or 2 yards and you can go throw the ball and get 5, you're going to throw the ball. I mean, and they've been more consistent in getting yardage throwing the ball. We need to get it to more so we can get some yardage running the ball. Now, one thing they did ask him, and I don't remember if you asked him this or not, but he asked him if the Trey Hendrickson thing is a distraction. And, of course, he said yes.
Yeah.
But I'll put it to you this way. I don't think, in my opinion, it's for the offense. It's as big of a distraction for the offense as last year when you had Jamar and T. And the difference is Trey's not here. So with him not being here, I think that's less of a distraction. I think Jamar being here last year but not participating is like Shamar Stewart. If they go into the training camp and he's still not participating but he's here, that might be a bigger distraction than Trey because he's here.
The reason Shamar is here is he's a rookie. He needs to be in the meetings. He needs if he's not on the field, that's one thing, but he needs to be doing everything else.
Right.
And he has been doing that. I think that's a fair point. I think Jamar And even the T situation last year, that was a much bigger distraction to the offense than even Trey Hendrickson not being around is to the defense. I think the defense will be good. I think it's going to be different. And that's another thing I think people are underselling about Al Golden. And I think he's going to use the secondary and the front seven in much different ways than Lou Anarumo did. Still, my biggest concern, without question, about this defense is the safety position.
Yeah.
And the depth there.
So would you go get Alexander from the Packers?
I do a number of different things. I would go get Justin Simmons, who I covered way back in the day in college at Boston College. I love that guy. I mean, he may not have that much left in the tank. I mean,
we don't need somebody who has a lot. We just need depth, I think.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go out and get a player like that, it's tricky because they're going to want to get paid to a degree if they're a veteran, and you don't want to overpay for a backup.
Right.
So if you brought in a Justin Simmons, I'd be happy with Justin Simmons and Geno Stone, and then let Jordan Battle win back that spot. I think that's a reasonable stance to take. And certainly injuries are going to happen. There will be occasions where maybe you use three safeties. I would rather have the veteran body in the backfield at the safety position than not have them. And right now, that's the biggest concern I see on the defense. I know people are obviously going to say the edge position, lack of depth there, and I get that. But there's nobody behind the safety.
Right.
And you get that wrong, we've seen in the last couple of years what happens.
Right. Exactly. Now, one good thing I'll put this way for Trey not being there, this gives Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, and if Shamar Stewart ever gets signed, that many more snaps and that many more times to get better. And I've talked about this a million times. Al Golden's biggest thing he needs to do is get the most out of this first and second round talent he has on this defense. And with them getting more snaps, I mean, that can't hurt. I still want Trey in here, but that can't hurt to get Miles Murphy more snaps.
I want to see what Miles Murphy, what kind of step he's made up in year 3 this year. I mean, he is everybody's focus. He knows it too.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody is looking in his direction. What are you going to do this year in year 3 that you did not produce in years 1 and 2? He's got to be better. There's no question about that. And Joseph Osai, to me, he has shown at the end of a couple of seasons that he can get it going. He can be a force. I want to see that force at the beginning of the season from start to finish.
Exactly.
He is a true X factor on that defense. And can he show more than 1 or 2 moves to get to the quarterback?
Chad, I keep going back to the last AFC Championship game. Osai was the best player on the defense. I know everyone remembers the last play, but I mean, if you go back and watch the film, he was unbelievable. Now, Al Golden, today was the first day I got to go on the bridge and watch. What I noticed, just me, what I noticed from Al Golden's coaching stance to Lou's, he seems more hands-on, I think, than Lou was. Did you find what do you think the coaching differences between Al?
There might be some legitimacy to that. I think Lou was more stand back, watch the pieces, see how they're communicating, not communicating, and make the adjustments in the classroom. I think I think that's a pretty fair point. I think Al Golden's probably more hands-on with his coaching staff. And I think he's going to use his coaches a lot more. And it's been interesting to watch Jerry Montgomery in practice, OTAs. And
Jerry Montgomery's about this big, too.
He is, I'll tell you one thing, and God love Marion Hobby. He's a lot more vocal than Marion Hobby.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to have an impact to a degree. I think he's going to communicate a lot more directly where these defensive linemen should be in different stunt situations, different pass rush situations. He's already corrected, and we could hear it in practice in a couple of weeks, but he's already corrected, the splits and where to line up, whether it's an odd front or an even front. We've heard that, and I think we didn't necessarily hear that all the time, for Marion Hobby. So that's one difference. Mike Hodges, still, getting to know him a little bit and what his style is, a new linebackers coach. And then I love Charles Burks. I think the secondary, I think the defensive backs are going to be very, very good.
I'm very excited on the defensive back. Now, I know one thing I'll bring up. The other day when Cam Taylor got that interception on Burrow, it was supposed to go to Mike G. Was Cam playing inside then?
Yeah, he's been playing a little bit inside, but he's not going to be a slot corner.
Yeah, well, that I was just surprised because I didn't even think about that.
So
Justin brought it up here on the chat.
I'll bring up a play. The play after Cam's interception last week of Joe Burrow, when Cam was covering Mike Gesicki on a edge route to the sideline, a cut route, an under route to the sideline. The next play, Burrow was like, okay, screw it, we're going deep. And he threw the bomb to Jamar, beating DJ Turner. It was Cam Taylor-Britt on a drag route, covering, again, a tight end right across the middle inside. So he'll use him like that, but I would say primarily he'll be definitely on the outside.
Yeah, I didn't even know he could play inside, to be honest. I didn't know he's
a good tackler. Actually, that's not surprising. And, I think we've talked already about Josh Newton being a very good tackler, and he is, I would say, your prime candidate to be the starting nickelback on this. I would think that's my guess. It'd be interesting to see how Dax Hill recovers. He was not on the field today. No reason to rush him back and camp, obviously. Coming off an ACL, but it'll be interesting to see the Dax Hill DJ Turner battle again, because that's probably what you're looking at opposite Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yep, I agree. All right, I'll get you out on this question here. Paul wants to know, am I right, even though Trey is under contract, he has first right of refusal for a trade proposal?
Okay, I don't want to be wrong on this, and I don't want to guess. I think he does, but I'm not 100%.
I think he does, but I don't know for a fact.
I do not know for a fact, and I don't know if he put in no trade teams in his reworked deal of a couple of years ago when he added on this 2025 season.
Yeah, if they trade him, if they trade him now, it's not gonna. I don't think they're going to. But if they do trade him now, it's going to do the Bengals absolutely no good this year.
No, I don't see them trading him because they're not going to get value back on the dollar. So why do that?
Right. That's where I think they're going to make it.
They're better off juicing up the contract and paying him more for 2 years, and then they are trading him for an uncertainty. I don't, unless they're going to get a ready-made defensive edge in return,
which they're not.
If they are,
no.
Then why trade them?
Right. And the thing is, trade with them.
If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you're trying to win a Super Bowl,
they better be trying to win a Super Bowl. But with them releasing Pratt yesterday, I heard that clears up almost. Not just Pratt alone,
$6 million.
Yeah, but they're like $30 million or something in cap space like that, or something like that. Is what I was.
But a lot of that is, how do you spend the cash? How do you pay the bonus?
But bottom line, they got enough money. They can pay Trey 28 and call it a day.
And who's to say that they haven't offered that? Because that's the number I keep hearing. And Trey may be looking at 30 to 31, and the Bengals are like, no, we're not going to do that. And I get that. But again, Dave Lapham brought this point up, and it's a great one to keep in mind in situations like Shamar Stewart and Hendrickson, even rookie and veteran. Terms and conditions. It's not always about the final money. It's about how you get the money, how it's paid out. Sometimes incentive bonuses in Trey Hendrickson's case. Terms and conditions mean the world in a situation like that. So it's important to keep that in mind. And we are not privy to every last detail of these contracts. That's why, even though we know that it's not really about the money with Shamar Stewart, it's about terms and conditions in the third and fourth year,
which affects his money.
It does, but
part of his guarantee.
The money's pretty much locked. The numbers are pretty much locked in. With Trey, the money is not locked in, and the terms and conditions are not locked in. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm with you. I think it's more terms and conditions with Trey. And I mean, the other guy I told now, not for the Bengals, but TJ Watt didn't show up for the Steelers, and I heard he wants to get like $40 million. Trey is not getting TJ Watt money. I mean, that's just
and he's not looking for TJ.
Yeah,
he knows that.
Yeah,
so. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say TJ or Trey Hendrickson wants to be paid the most of any agent. That's not accurate. That's not the case. That's not what he's looking for. He's looking to be. He's looking for a reasonable raise up from 16.
Which would be 28. 28 would be good with me, but it's not my money, so let's see what happens.
Thanks, Shimon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing exactly what I told Shimon not to do. All right, Trags, I appreciate it, man. Hey, tell everybody where to follow you at and find all your really cool articles and your podcasts, and we got the Ohio Cup coming up here tonight again. The Reds.
Somebody clinched it.
They clinched it, baby. About time. Hopefully they go for the sweep. But
okay. So the latest from the locker room that includes Shamar Stewart, the freshly shaven Jermaine Burton.
Didn't get into that.
Comments from him on the Jungle Roar podcast on YouTube, and Joe Burrow press conference highlights up on youtube.com/@JungleRoarPod, plus some highlights today from the first day of 3 minicamp practices. Of course, follow me on the X at Trags, TRAGS, and CLNS Cincy with a Y.com.
And one of these days I'll get a press pass, and I can video it and put it on my own channel sometime too.
And we can chat on the sideline.
I know, because I try to talk to you. I'm up on the bridge, but nobody can hear me.
Hey, do you have a cell phone? Cell phones actually send text messages.
I text Skinny. I text him. I said hi from the bridge. I should have texted you too. I should have said hi.
See where I rate.
Hey, you're my first call to bug to come on my show, so you know you're my dude.
Yeah, by the way, Paul Painter, he's right. The length of the contract is holding up the deal, but so is the guaranteed money, and it all kind of mixes.
It all comes together.
It's all one big stew.
Yeah, it's all one big pie. Is Mike?
Let it marinate.
Like, there you go. All right, Jax, appreciate you, man. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll text you from the bridge. All right.
Sounds good.
See you, Trags.
Later.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that much. I did. Trags is awesome. You can follow him on all his stuff he does for CNLS Media, the Jungle Roar podcast, and everything. He's got all the interviews and everything that I was talking about are up there, and you guys can check that out. But thanks for watching. I'm going to go watch the Reds, hopefully get their second win against they've got 5 in a row, but get their second win against the Indians. Excuse me, hang on, I didn't do that. The Guardians. Never remember calling that. And hopefully they sweep them completely. How awesome would that be if the Reds could sweep the Guardians? That'd be great. But thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I will be pulling a sound off later on, so you can check it out if you don't want to sit there and watch me for 1 hour and 7 minutes right now. You can listen to it on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a 5-star review in the comments so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Which, if you guys really want to listen to the podcast, I appreciate it. I get like maybe 3 to 5 people listening to the podcast. I have like 300 people watching on here, and then I barely have anybody listen to the podcast. So if you want to check out the podcast, I would appreciate it. Shout out to my sponsors. They are as followed. Priority Lawn and Landscaping. If you need anything, and I mean anything, lawn and landscaping. If you need material like mulch, rock, anything like that, they got their own shop now. It's down on 50. I don't have the address yet. They're just opening it up. But if you want to find out where that is, or if you want to contact them for grass cutting or any kind of lawn or landscaping needs, give Priority Lawn and Landscaping a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. And I recommend following them on Facebook because you can see the jobs that they have done. And if you, don't have any idea of what you want to do, you can check out the stuff that they've done. Like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to do that. Yeah. So check out Priority Lawn and Landscaping on Facebook. Again, 513-430-6114. Also, shout out to T Properties. Quality housing for quality people. check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. Check out the website at MeyerCincinnati.com. Get some quality, great looking, energy efficient, easy to clean windows and doors. Again, they got a website or they got a Facebook page. You can check it out. Well, actually, I think they have their own Facebook. Maddie kind of tweets stuff out or puts stuff on Facebook. And you go to my Facebook page and you see some of the jobs that Meyer Window and Doors have done. They give free estimates, quality windows. Again, MeyerCincinnati.com. One more thing. Don't forget, if you guys have not got your tickets for the Celebrity Softball Classic, July 17th at the Florence Y'alls, I'll be participating. If you want to come cheer me on or laugh at me when I mess something up, which hopefully I won't do that. Hopefully I won't pull something. Come check us out. It's July 17th at Florence Y'alls Ballpark. You can get the tickets at Celebrity Softball Classic. Boys and girls, it's been fun. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, I got Dale Altman's going to be on the show with me tomorrow. Think I got a chance that Doc, Angelo WWE wrestler and huge Bengals fan, Andrew Dawkins from the Street Profits from WWE. He might come on tomorrow. I'm still working on confirming if he's going to be here tomorrow or not, but for sure, Dale Altman will be on. Thursday, we're going to have one of my favorite baseball pitchers, Bronson Arroyo. He'll be on. He's actually going to be pitching for the Savannah Bananas. I think it's going to be this weekend, I think. So we're going to be talking about that, or he already did it. I don't know. We'll find out Thursday. But he's going to be on Thursday. Friday, I got Evan McPhillips, Hot Take Evan McPhillips from the Sit Down podcast with Malik and Into the Jungle and everything else that they do over there at the Right Sports Network. So I got a lot of good guests coming up here for you this week. Again, thanks for watching. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Remember, Houday for life. And throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!
Weekend nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ices on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.